Sadvaitam Savadhutam Purjana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sarvavita Shri Vishakhantamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamane Ste Saraswati Devi Bhagavan Charani Sheshi Suni Shankar Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Vedanta Shri Vasavi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare सर्वशास्त्रार्थी पीयूष सर्ववेदिक सत्फल सर्वसिद्धांत रत्नानि सर्वलोकैक तत्प्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद्भागवत प्रभो परिध्वान्तोत्तादित्य श्री कृष्ण परिवर्तित परमानंद पाठाय प्रेमवर्षक्षराय ते सर्वदा सर्वसेवित श्री कृष्णाय नमोस्तु मे मतेक बंधो मत्संज्ञ मद्गुरो मन्महाधन निस्तारक मद्भाग्य मद आनंद नमोस्तुते साधु साधुता चोच्यता कर आनंद कदाचिन मान प्रेमना हृत्करस्फुरा ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम भगवते वासुदेवाय हरि संशुद्ध श्रुतमात्र गुणम ही माम. When one is fully qualified with all these transcendental attributes and his consciousness is just completely purified, he is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing my transcendental quality. मद विषय के श्रवण कीर्तनादरे तस्य पुरुष आशयः. Here I have ashrayah, which is correct, right? Ashaya is going to be ashaya or ashaya. So when one is engaged in my duties, what dharmanaha refers to a devotee of the Lord, which means one who is engaged in shravanam, kirtanam, and so on, pertaining to Lord Kapila speaking. So when one accepts all of these as his prescribed duties, then such a person's mind becomes completely purified. Shrutimatra gunam mam eti iti guna shruti matrena iti uttalakshanam sadhyam yogam prapnoti iti bhavaha. Is immediately attracted simply by hearing my name or hearing of my transcendental quality means that, as already defined earlier, this is nirguna bhakti. This is the goal. This is technically bhakti yoga. Bhakti yoga technically refers to prema bhakti. So he attains this. In the beginning of this instruction, the Lord explained to his mother that Mad Guna Shruti Matra, simply by hearing of the name, quality, form, etc. of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one is immediately attracted. A person becomes fully qualified with all transcendental qualities by following the rules and regulations as recommended in different scriptures. We have developed certain unnecessary qualities by material association, and by following the above process, we become free from that contamination. To develop transcendental qualities, as explained in the previous verse, one must become free from these contaminated qualities. Twenty. Yathavatар ratho घ्राणम आवृते गंध आशया एवं योग ऋतु चेत आत्मानम अविकारियत. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches a sense of smell, similarly one who constantly engages in devotional service and Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Soul, who is equally present everywhere. Prayatnam vina eva praptau drishtanta. Attainment of the goal without even endeavoring for it is exemplified here. Vatah ratah prapakah yasya sagandha ashayat swasthanad sakashad glanah. What is this? Sakashad granam nasikam avrinte bhajate prapnoti. The chariot of air carries an aroma. Chariot of air means air itself is like a chariot. It carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches the sense of smell. Evam bhakti yogi yuktam chetaha atmanam paramatmanam. In the same way, when one is in Krishna consciousness, he can catch the Supreme Soul immediately. Yathavataha padmakarastham gandham nasikam prapayati. Just as the wind, air, it takes fragrance of a lotus and brings it to the nose. Tatha eva ayam bhakti anga samudayaha. Similarly, this totality of various items of bhakti, yogaratam bhakti yoganishtham chittam parameshwaram prapayati ityarthaha. Similarly, this totality of bhakti angas, they take the mind that is focused on yoga. That means focused on, fixed in bhakti yoga. It takes that mind and delivers that mind to the Supreme Ishvara. As a breeze carrying a pleasant fragrance from a garden of flowers at once captures the organic smell, so one's consciousness, saturated with devotion, can at once capture the transcendental existence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who in his Paramatma feature is present everywhere, even in the heart of every living being. It is stated in Bhagavad Gita that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is Kshetrajya, present within this body, but he is also simultaneously present in every other body. Since the individual soul is present only in a particular body, he is altered when another individual soul does not cooperate with him. The super soul, however, is equally present everywhere. Individual souls may disagree, but the super soul, being equally present in every body, is called unchanging or avikari. The individual soul, when fully saturated with Krishna consciousness, can understand the presence of the super soul. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita that Bhaktyama Vijanati, the person saturated with devotional service in full Krishna consciousness, can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead either as super soul or as a supreme person. 21. Aham sarveshu bhuteshu bhutatma avastitah sada tam avagyaya mam martyah kurtircha vidambanam. I am present in every living entity as a super soul. If someone neglects or disregards that super soul everywhere and engages himself in the worship of the deity in the temple, that is simply imitation. Question. I can't hear anything.
Prabhu, I am asking, since there is a line in purport to verse 20, since the individual soul is present only in a particular body, he is altered when another individual soul does not cooperate. What is this alteration here talking about?
Means he is disturbed. The word that Prabhupada has in mind is avikari. Why is here? Avikari. He is unchanging, unaltered, not disturbed, not agitated. But we are disturbed. Therefore, he is using that expression, altered.
And when these individual souls does not cooperate with super soul, he is not disturbed.
He is not disturbed.
So you told that here technically Bhakti Yoga refers to Prema Bhakti, but technically Bhakti Yoga actually referred to that Pradhani Bhuta Bhakti, no?
No. In the ultimate sense, Bhakti Yoga refers to Prema Bhakti Yoga. Ultimately, Bhakti Yoga refers to Prema Bhakti. We'll see in, I think in 5th canto, that's a text, so it will say. Ultimately, Bhakti Yoga refers to Prema Bhakti. In another sense, when you take yoga to be in a combination of karma, jnana, bhakti, then karma yoga means that combination where karma is predominant, jnana yoga means that combination where jnana is predominant, bhakti yoga means that combination where bhakti is predominant. But in the ultimate sense, yoga taken to mean not a combination, but the means, upaya, then bhakti yoga will have to refer to prema, the highest means to attract the Lord.
Okay, Prabhu. Here yoga means pursuit or means, not a combination of different paths.
Yoga has several meanings. One meaning of yoga is combination. Another meaning is means, sadhana.
Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. This verse has been referred to in a purport in Bhagavad Gita as it is. Kimcha etadrishim api bhaktim aparadeva sankocheti sacha aparadaha prayaha mahad avajnanam mulaka eva teja mahantaha loke durlakshyah api bahavaha tishtanti अतः तत् अपराध अभावार्थम सर्वभूतानि एव स्व इष्टदेव अधिष्ठान बुद्धिया सम्माननीयानि. Moreover, this kind of bhakti becomes constricted when an offense takes place. Mostly, that offense is founded on disrespect of a great soul. Yes. And these great souls, even though they are difficult to be recognized in the world, are many in number. Therefore, in order to make sure that there is no offense, all the living creatures should be honored with the idea that one's own worshipable deity is present in them. Tad abhave, in the absence of that, if one does not do that, Sri Bhagavad Vigraha Seva api na samyak phalada. Even direct service to the deity of Sri Bhagavan does not give complete results. Divada, while saying this, Ishwaratva Prani Sammananam Akurvate Swabhaktaya Hitakarittvena Vatsalyat Kupyanniva Sri Kapilideva Aha. Because he is the Lord, Sri Kapiladeva is the Lord himself. Out of affection for his devotee, who does not honor all living creatures, Lord Sri Kapiladeva, as a well-wisher, out of affection, appears to be angry while speaking 6 verses in this regard, beginning with the current verse. Tatra avagya upeksha dvesha nindaha kramena chaturvihi siddhyante. Here, through 4 verses, one after another, he forbids the devotees from disrespect, neglect, hatred, and blasphemy, from engaging in these activities. Archa mat pratima. Archa, deity here refers to deity of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Tasyam mat pujanam mat vidambanam eva kurute. And worship of this deity is simply a mockery. It is just to insult me if he neglects or disregards that super soul. In purified consciousness or Krishna consciousness, one sees the presence of Krishna everywhere. Therefore, if one only engages in deity worship in the temple and does not consider other living entities, then he is in the lowest grade of devotional service. One who worships a deity in the temple and does not show respect to others is a devotee on the material platform in the lowest stage of devotional service. The devotee should try to understand everything in relationship with Krishna and try to serve everything in that spirit. To serve everything means to engage everything in the service of Krishna. If a person is innocent and does not know his relationship with Krishna, an advanced devotee should try to engage him in the service of Krishna. One who is advanced in Krishna can engage not only the living being but everything in the service of Krishna. 22. Yo mam sarveshu bhuteshu santamatmanamishwaram yatvarcham bhajate maudhyad bhasmanyeva jhotisa. One who worships a deity of Godhead in the temples but does not know that the Supreme Lord, as Paramatma, is situated in every living entity's heart, must be in ignorance and is compared to one who offers oblations into ashes. Bhasmani eva juhoti. He offers oblations into ashes. Prabhutva subhaktan shikshayitam tan prati satarjana uktihi. Because he is the master of his devotees. In order to teach them, he points his finger with anger and he warns them. Tatha eva swayam bhagavatah api yasyatma buddhi kunape ityatra bhauma ijyati ityuktva sa eva gokhara iti akshepa. Even Swayam Bhagavan has chastised in that regard. Sa eva gokharaha. He is a cow or an ass. In the verse 10.84.13. Yathaiva adhunika api sadguravaha priyamapi swasishyam swasevaratam क्वापि अन्यत्र हरिभक्तेषु अपराध लेशमात्रं दृष्ट्वा एव मत्सेवां करोषि भस्म करोषि right भस्म करोषि yes मां दुःखयस्य इव केवलम् इति आक्षिपन्ति. Even right now there are bona fide spiritual masters when they see their beloved disciples who are absorbed in service to them, when they see sometimes that they slightly commit an offense towards devotees of Lord Hari elsewhere, then they chastise them. They say, are you serving me or are you offering oblations into ashes? Everything you do is simply for my misery. Vastutah tu rishayah kvapi na evam ahu. Actually, the sages never ever speak like this. They don't say that worship of the Supreme Lord is useless. Yatha archayam eva hare pujam yashadhaye hate natat bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smrtaha. 11.2.47. Vyakyacha Sri Swami Charananam and the explanation of Shilashidhar Swami. Natat bhakteshu api anyeshu cha sudaram na karoti prakrita prakriti prarambha adhura eva prarabdha bhakti shanaihi uttama bhavishyati ityartha ityesha. He is engaged in devotional service to Lord Hari. He worships the deity form of the Lord with Shraddha, with respect, with faith. But he does not worship with respect and faith the devotees of Lord Hari. And therefore, he does not honor others. So this person is called a Prakrita Bhakta. Now Prakrita in this regard means beginning, neophyte. He is a neophyte. And he will gradually progress and become an Uttama. Trape Vakshiti Archadav Archayet Tavad. Here also 3.29.25, it will be a similar point will be noted. It is stated clearly herein that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is plenary expansion of Super Soul is present in all living entities. The living entities have 8,400,000 different kinds of bodies, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead is living in every body, both as the individual soul and as a super soul. Since the individual soul is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, in that sense, the Lord is living in every body. And as super soul, the Lord is also present as a witness. In both cases, the presence of God in every living entity is essential. Therefore, persons who profess to belong to some religious sect, but who do not feel the presence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in every living entity and everywhere else, are in the mode of ignorance. If without this preliminary knowledge of the Lord's omnipresence, one simply attaches himself to the rituals in a temple, church, or mosque, it is as if he were pouring butter into ashes rather than into the fire. One who offers sacrifices, one offers sacrifices by pouring clarified butter into a fire and chanting Vedic mantras. But even if there are Vedic mantras and all conditions are favorable, if the clarified butter is poured on ashes, then such a sacrifice must be useless. In other words, a devotee should not ignore any living entity. The devotee must know that in every living entity, however insignificant he may be, even in an ant, God is present. And therefore, every living entity should be kindly treated, should not be subjected to any violence. In modern civilized society, slaughterhouses are regularly maintained and supported by a certain type of religious principle, but without knowledge of the presence of God in every living entity, any so-called advancement of human civilization, either spiritual or material, is to be understood as being in the mode of ignorance. Okay, just 1 minute. What is this? 22. Class 22. Just a minute. Just looking at one particular thing. Sorry about it. Okay, 23. द्विषतः परकाये मां मानिनो भिन्नदर्शिनः भूतेषु बद्धवैरस्य न मनः शान्तिं ऋच्छति. One who offers me respect, but is envious of the bodies of others, and is therefore a separatist, never attains peace of mind because of his inimical behavior towards other living entities. Bhinnadarshinaha, of a separatist, therefore a separatist. Swasya dukkham iva anyasya api dukkham samanam iti na janatah. So separatist means he does not consider others' distress to be as good as one's own distress. In this verse, two phrases, bhuteshu baddhavairasya, inimical towards others. Bhuteshu baddhavairasya. And vishataha parakaye. Vishataha parakaye. One who is envious towards the body of another, envious of another's body, or significant. One who is envious of or inimical towards others never experiences any happiness. A devotee's vision, therefore, must be perfect. He should ignore bodily distinctions and should see only the presence of the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and the Lord himself in his plenary expansion as super soul. That is the vision of a pure devotee. The bodily expression of a particular type of living entity is always ignored by the devotee. It is expressed herein that the Lord is always eager to deliver the conditioned souls who have been encaged within material bodies. Devotees are expected to carry the message or desire of the Lord to such conditioned souls and enlighten them with Krishna consciousness. Thus, they may be elevated to transcendental spiritual life, and the mission of their lives will be successful. Of course, this is not possible for living entities who are lower than human beings, but in human society, it is feasible that all living entities can be enlightened with Krishna consciousness. Even living entities who are lower than human can be raised to Krishna consciousness by other methods. For example, Shivananda Sen, a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, delivered a dog by feeding him prasad. Or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, even to the distribution of prasad or remnants of foodstuffs offered to the Lord, even to the ignorant masses of people and to animals, gives such living entities a chance for elevation to Krishna consciousness. Factually, it happened that the same dog, when met by Lord Chaitanya at Puri, was liberated from the material condition. It is especially mentioned here that a devotee must be free from all violence, jiva himsa. What is this? It is wrongly typed. No, it's not wrongly timed, but it is unusual to write like this. Lord Chaitanya has recommended that a devotee not commit violence to any living entity. Sometimes the question is raised that since vegetables also have life and devotees take vegetable foodstuffs, isn't that violence? Firstly, however, taking some leaves, twigs, or fruit from a tree or plant does not kill the plant. Besides that, jiva himsa. No, I think that it is wrong. It is jiva hyphen himsa. And the arama should be short. Vamana. Jiva himsa. Principle is jiva himsa. That's the exact expression. It is not jiva ahimsa. Jiva himsa means that since every living entity has to pass through a particular type of body according to his past karma, although every living entity is eternal, he should not be disturbed in his gradual evolution. The concept of jiva himsa is that we should not disturb these living creatures. Jiva himsa means to torment various living creatures. It is one of the things which prevent the creeper of bhakti from growing. A devotee has to execute the principles of devotion service exactly as what happened? Something went off. Got disconnected? Why? Got disconnected. You're on right. Can anyone hear me? Haribol.
Yes, true, you're audible, but screen sharing is not there.
It can. Because you opened the door. You're TP-Link 5G. You code TP-Link 5G. They must have started work. Is this having problem? Okay, it can. Should be visible. Is it visible now?
No, no,
Not yet.
not yet, true.
Again got disconnected. Some problem with the network. But probably We'll cancel the class.
Please try this one. Let's go.
Okay, now it would have connected. Okay, it's coming.
Yes, Prabhu.
A devotee has to execute the principles of devotion service exactly as they are, and he must know that however insignificant a living entity may be, the Lord is present within him. A devotee must realize this universal presence of the Lord. 24. Aham uchavachair dravyai kriyayotpannaya naiva tushir chitorchayam bhutagramavamanaha. My dear mother, even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities. What is this? Even if he worships with proper rituals and paraphernalia, a person who is ignorant of my presence in all living entities never pleases me by the worship of my deities in the temple. Avamaninaha, nindakasya. This is talking about someone who is critical of the living entities. Avamaninaha. It's talking about those who are disrespectful to living entities, who are critical. न तथा तप्यते विद्धः पुमान् बाणैर्हि मर्मगैः यथा तुदन्ति मर्मस्ताह्य सत्तां परुषेष्वः इत्युक्तरीत्या निन्दा द्वेषादपि अधिका इत्याहो. Ninda is worse than hatred. Criticism is worse than hatred. He is referring to this 11.23.3. What is this verse? Can someone read out this? What is 11.23? Where is it? Which verses? Dushyatah. Aham uchavache. Is this the verse? I'm not able to spot it. Why?
This is the verse, not the top of the table.
Archada archaye tavad Ishwaram mam swakarmakrit yavanna ved swahvriti sarvabhuteshu avasthitam. Performing his prescribed duties, one should worship the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead until one realizes my presence in his own heart and in the hearts of other living entities as well. Shuddha Bhaktimata Swataha Eva Shuddhantah Karanatvad Prani Matra Avagya Prayahanna Sambhavet. For pure devotees, because their minds are automatically purified. Insult of any living creature almost always never takes place at all. Practically, it does not take place. There is no possibility that it would happen. Karma Mishra Bhakti Matam tu sa sambhavedeva. But for those engaged in Karma Mishra Bhakti, certainly there is a possibility. Yavad antahkaranasya ashuddhihi tasya shuddhau satyam tu sa na tishtet tena karmapi na kartavya ityaha. As long as one's mind is impure, then he should engage in deity worship. When the mind becomes pure, then the impurity does not stay, and then he does not have to engage in his material prescribed duties also. With this in mind, he speaks Archada. Swakarmakrit, Karma Vishram, Satvikim Bhaktim Kurvanaha. This is referring to a person who is performing his prescribed duties in the mode of goodness. He is engaged in Satvika Bhakti, which is Satvika Karma Vishnu. Yavaditi Sarvabhutatma Darshitvad Dashayam Udbhutayam Satyam Karma Adhikarat Na Swakarma Krit. Until he gets to perceive the soul of all living creatures. Wait, there's something which is not clear here. It's not properly typed. Karma Annadhikar. So I'm thinking, what is this? Okay. Karma Annadhikara, na Swakarma. So until he gets to perceive the Supreme Lord, who is situated as the super soul of all living creatures, he must engage in deity worship. After that comes, he is no longer eligible or he is not fit for engaging in karma or his material prescribed duties. So therefore, he does not engage in. He is not a swakarma. He is not a person who is engaged in his material prescribed duties. किंतु ज्ञानमिश्रां भक्तिं कुर्वाणः सन् अर्चायां माम् अर्चयेत् इत्यर्थः. But a person who is engaged in Jnanamishra Bhakti, that person, he should worship me in the deity form. In other words, deity worship should continue, just that he will not engage in his material prescribed duties. Worship of the deity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is prescribed here, even for persons who are simply discharging their prescribed duties. There are prescribed duties for the different social classes of men, the Brahmanas, the Vaishyas, the Brahmanas, the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas, and the Shudras, and for the different ashramas, Brahmacharya, Garhastya, Vanaprastha, and Sannyas. One should worship the deity of the Lord until one appreciates the presence of the Lord in every living entity. In other words, one should not be satisfied simply by discharging his duties properly. He must realize his relationship and the relationship of all other living entities with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he does not understand this, then even though he discharges his prescribed duties properly, it is to be understood that he is simply laboring without profit. The word Swakarmakrit in this verse is very significant. Swakarmakrit is one who engages in discharging his prescribed duties. It's not that one who has become a devotee of the Lord or who engages in devotion service should give up his prescribed duties. No one should be lazy under the plea of devotional service. One has to execute devotional service according to his prescribed duties. Swakarmakrit means that one should discharge the duties prescribed for him without neglect. So for Parinishtitas, actually, they have to go on performing their prescribed duties until they attain God realization. Until they attain God realization, they have to engage in their material prescribed duties. For Swanishtas, they have to engage in their material prescribed duties until they become self-realized. For Parinishtitas, they have to engage in their material prescribed duties until they become both self-realized and God-realized. And for Nirapeksha sadhakas, they have to engage in their material prescribed duties until they attain faith in Kevala Bhakti. They don't have to be self-realized or God-realized. That comes in Gita Bhushana. We saw that it was towards the end of Gita Bhushana. 3.29.26 Atmanascha parasyapi yah karoti yah karotyantarodaram tasya bhinna drisho mrityur vidadhe bhayamul banam. As a blazing fire of death, I cause great fear to whoever makes the least discrimination between himself and other living entities because of a differential outlook. Atmanaha udaram parasyapi udaram. Yah antara bhinnam karoti. tasya mrityu swarupaham. I am practically death for that person who discriminates between himself and others. Udaram khalu jatharanala jwala yuktam. And he specifically uses this word udaram. He who distinguishes between the udara of oneself and the udara of others. Udara here refers to the body. It actually refers to the stomach, which is filled with the fire of digestion. यथा आत्मनः तथा परस्य अपि इति ज्ञात्वा क्षुधार्तं जीवम् आत्मानमिव भोजयेत् एव अन्यथा मृत्युभयं न तरति इति अर्थः. So in other words, just as we satisfy the pangs of hunger of our own stomachs, we should also satisfy the pangs of hunger of others. Otherwise, we cannot cross over the fear of death. There are bodily differentiations among all varieties of living entities, but a devotee should not distinguish between one living entity and another on such a basis. A devotee's outlook should be that both the soul and super soul are equally present in all varieties of living entities. So that should be the philosophical basis for this practical process of making sure nobody goes hungry. Sometimes we also talk about prasadam distribution, but it is one conception to say that we should distribute prasadam. It's another conception to say we should dissipate the hunger of others. There are some who think that it is not our duty to dissipate the hunger of others. But we see here in Bhagavatam, it is very clearly said that just as we eat, we dissipate our own hunger. So like this, we should dissipate others' hunger also. Otherwise, we'll be in the bodily conception of life and we'll continue to have fear of death. 27. अथमाम सर्वभूतेषु भूतात्मानं कृतालयम् अर्हये दानमानाभ्याम मैत्र्याभिन्नेन चक्षुषा. Therefore, through charitable gifts and attention, as well as through friendly behavior and by viewing all to be alike, one should propitiate me, one should worship me, who abide in all creatures as their very self. Nanu prithiviyam ananta eva kshidartha jivaha te cha bhojayitaram shutva tat samipam ayantyeva tan bhojayitum kah kalu ratideva nirvaiva dhairyam dhatte. Now, on this earth, there are unlimited living entities who are hungry. So when they hear that here is a person who is going to feed, all of them are going to come. But is this man indeed like King Rantideva, having that much of patience to feed everyone? Ityataha, anticipating this, he speaks this verse. Athava tebhyah yateshta dana samarthya api दानादिभिः अर्हयेत् तथातो संशयस्याताम् अधिकारे च मङ्गले विकल्पानन्तर प्रश्न कार्ष्ण्यारम्भ समुच्चये इति मेदिनी. Atha can also mean otherwise. Otherwise, even if one is incapable of such charity to his heart's extent, then he should at least give charity, respect, should be friendly, and so on. Kimchiteshu bhukshushu gali pradana adibihi tiraskurvatsu api pratitiraskaram na kuryat. So when these hungry people are simply criticizing you, giving you gali is a Sanskrit word. If they simply chastise you, what is the use of your worship of God? We are all hungry, you're not doing anything, useless, good for nothing, bogus, all these things they chastise. One should not chastise them back. Kintu teshu atmanaha api adhikan manena stutyadibihi adarena arhaya. Rather, one should praise them and so on, and in this way honor them, considering them to be more valuable than oneself. Yaduktam bhagavata, as it was already stated by Bhagavan, te brahmana maithiya kshipatorchayan tas tushyadhrita smita sudho kshitapadma vaktra. That when the brahmanas, this is already stated 3.16.11 ityadi, that when the brahmanas, when they unnecessarily criticize and so on, they should be dealt with patience and with consideration. Atmanastulyan maitriya abhinnena avidirnena akutilena iti avat. So once you deal with them through friendship, with the equal vision. Abhinnena also means without a fragmented vision or without duplicity. Evam निष्कैतवस्य व्यवहृत्य अपि तेषु यत्सु अपि तदन्तस्थितः प्रभुः तु न कुप्यात् एव इति भावः. The idea is that when we behave without duplicity, despite that conduct, when they are angry, we have to make sure that the Supreme Lord who is situated within them, it does not become angry. It should not be misunderstood that because the super soul is dwelling within the heart of a living entity, the individual soul has become equal to him. The equality of the super soul and the individual soul is misconceived by the impersonalists. Here, it is distinctly mentioned that the individual soul should be recognized in relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The method of worshipping the individual soul is described here as either giving charitable gifts or behaving in a friendly manner, free from any separatist outlook. The impersonalist sometimes accepts a poor individual soul as being Daridra Narayan, meaning that Narayana as the Supreme Personality of Godhead has become poor. This is a contradiction. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is full in all opulences. He can agree to live with a poor soul or even with an animal, but this does not make him poor. There are two Sanskrit words here. There are two Sanskrit words used here, mana and dana. Mana indicates a superior and dana indicates that one gives charitable gifts or is compassionate towards an inferior. We cannot treat the Supreme Personality of Godhead as an inferior who is dependent on our charitable gifts. When we give charity, it is to a person who is inferior in his material or economic condition. Charity is not given to a rich man. Similarly, it is explicitly stated here that mana, respect, is offered to a superior and charity is offered to an inferior. The living entities, according to different results of fruitive activities, may become rich or poor, but the Supreme Personality of God is unchanging. Is always full in six opulences. Treating a living entity equally does not mean treating him as one would treat the Supreme Personality of God. Compassion and friendliness does not necessitate falsely elevating someone to the exalted position of the Supreme Personality of God. We should not at the same time misunderstand that the super soul situated in the heart of an animal like a hog and the super soul situated in the heart of a learned Brahmana are different. The super soul in all living entities is the same Supreme Personality of God. By his omnipotency, he can live anywhere and he can create his Vaikuntha situation everywhere. That is his inconceivable potency. Therefore, when Narayana is living in the heart of a hog, he does not become a hog Narayana. He's always Narayana and is unaffected by the body of the hog. Here, what is this verse? Athama. Let me just quickly check whether everything is proper. Correct. Even if one cannot give as much charity as he wishes, still, according to the injunctions of this verse, one must give as much charity along with respect and friendship as appropriate. Okay. Question.
Oh, regarding respect, respect can be given to everyone, right? It is mentioned here only
Everyone,
to the seniors.
there are different degrees of respect. There are different degrees of respect.
We follow that philosophy, right? Amanina manadena. So we don't see either one as junior or senior.
No, no, no. That is foolishness. We should know who is higher, who is equal, who is inferior. That we should know. Otherwise, one cannot make progress in bhakti yoga. So that we should have a clear idea. But even those who are inferior, they should be given general respect. They should not be treated as objects of our enjoyment, because the Supreme Lord is present inside them. They belong to the Supreme Lord. I belong to the Lord. They also belong to the Lord. Currently, they may be in a position inferior to me, but they belong to the Lord, and I also belong to the Lord. Okay?
Okay, bro.
28. जीवा श्रेष्ठा ह्यजीवानां ततः प्राणं ततः शुभे ततस्य चित्ता प्रवरास् ततश्चेन्द्रिय वृत्तयः. Living entities are superior to inanimate objects, O Blessed Mother, and among them, living entities who display life symptoms are better. Animals with developed consciousness are better than them, and better still are those who have developed sense perception. Yes.
Prabhu, so I want to understand the conclusion regarding prasad distribution. Like, everyone has to distribute prasad to hungry people.
Everyone has to, yes, everyone has to endeavor to remove the hunger of others. Yes, correct only.
As per his means.
Yes, yes.
So means that includes brahmacharis also, everyone. Like,
Generally, see, those who live in monasteries, they would, there is always facility for giving prasadam. That should be given in abundance. So those who are hungry can always go there and sit and eat. So that kind of arrangement should be there. I'm told that even this Sikhism, they also give food.
Yes, true.
Hungry person can always go there and eat. Free. So we should also do that.
Okay, bro.
Corresponding to how much money we have. That's a good thing now. They're coming to our place. So we might as well display some books and this and that. Those who are interested can buy. Those who are not interested is okay. They'll at least develop some good wishes, and they may help later on, at a later point in time. Overall, it is a good policy. It's a duty. Okay. Sarartha Darshini here, this is not complete. So the portion that's here I'll read, and after that I'll read from this other edition that I have. न च केवलज्ञानी इव मद्भक्तः सर्वत्र तुल्यदृष्टिः साधारण्येन एव अर्हेदपि तु तारतम्येन एव iti taratamyam darshayati sardai shadvi. But my devotee is not like an exclusive jnani who only sees everything equally. In general, even though we have a devotee of the Supreme Lord has an equal vision, still, even though he desires to, he deserves, he actually is meant to have that as a general principle. Nevertheless, the gradation of living beings in this world should be recognized. And therefore, he talks about that gradation in 6.5 verses, beginning with the current verse. Ajivanam ajivebhyaha jirna shashpa adibhyaha. Those who display life symptoms are better. Sakasha jivaha ajirna shashpa adaya shreshtaha tataha pranabhritaha umishta jala akarshana vamana adilingena pranavrittibhritaha jivat pashana adaya. Then animals will develop consciousness. They are better. Entities with life symptoms are better. First of all, living entities are better than inanimate objects. Better than ordinary living entities are entities with life symptoms. Life symptoms means they stay in the water, they spit out different things and so on. So you understand that there are some life symptoms there. Tata sachittaha purvam uddayanadi cheshta paschad indravajrena stabda iti shastra antaha sajnana parvataha. Then better than them are those who develop consciousness. This refers to actually those who endeavor to fly. This refers to living mountains. See, very interesting piece of information. Here, Jiva, the living entities here refer to living stones and so on. But the Sachittaha, entities who develop consciousness, refers to living mountains. Then Tebhyopi, Tasmat Pashyanti Padapa, Tasmat Jighranti Padapa, iti Mokshadharma Vachana, Indriya Vrittimantaha, Udgama Avakasha Adi, Jnanavantaha Vrikshadaya. Better than them are those with sense perception. And he quotes a statement from Moksha Dharma that the padapas or the trees, they can see, they can smell. They can perceive. They grow, they spread. So they have some sensual awareness. In the previous verse, it was explained that living entities should be honored by charitable gifts and friendly behavior. And in this verse and in the following verses, the description of different grades of living entities is given so that one can know when to behave friendly and when to give charity. For example, a tiger is a living entity, part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Supreme Lord is living in the heart of the tiger as Super Soul. But does this mean that we have to treat the tiger in a friendly manner? Certainly not. We have to treat him differently, giving him charity in the form of prasada. The many saintly persons in the jungles do not treat the tigers in a friendly way, but they supply prasad foodstuffs to them. The tigers come, take the food, and go away, just as a dog does. According to the Vedic system, a dog is not allowed to enter the house. Because of their uncleanliness, cats and dogs are not allowed within the apartment of a gentleman, but are so trained that they stand outside. The compassionate householder will supply prasad to the dogs and cats who eat outside and then go away. We must treat the lower living entities compassionately, but this does not mean that we have to treat them in the same way we treat other human beings. The feeling of equality must be there, but the treatment should be discriminating. Just how discrimination should be maintained is given in the following 6 verses. concerning the different grades of living conditions. The first division is made between dead stone-like matter and the living organism. A living organism is sometimes manifested even in stone. Experience shows that some hills and mountains grow. This is due to the presence of the soul within that stone. About that, the next manifestation of the living condition is development of consciousness, and the next manifestation is the development of sense perception. In the Moksha Dharma section of the Mahabharata, it is stated that trees have developed sense perception. They can see and smell. We know by experience that trees can see. Sometimes in its growth, a large tree changes its course of development to avoid some hindrances. This means that a tree can see, and according to Mahabharata, a tree can also smell. This indicates the development of sense perception. 29. Tatrapi sparsha vedibhya. Question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, is there any standard life symptom? Because in modern science, they don't have any clarity. They go on with vague terms. So to counter them, do we have something mentioned that this should be there? Then we'll consider it as life symptom in microorganism or
Consciousness should be there.
When they were testing this COVID virus, that time they were saying that even though it is, they termed it as non-living. So is it possible to test consciousness by these men, so-called scientists?
By response. Conscious beings will respond in some manner. That much I know. I have not studied Ayurveda. All these elements of biology in the Vedic scriptures, I have not studied all these things. But definitely it appears very sensible. It's all on the basis of consciousness. Everyone accepts that the presence of Jivatma is identified through consciousness. Chaitanya.
And one person was asking me that the modern history of Earth, which they teach, how mountains formed. So they say there are tectonic plates, and then they are still colliding and growing. Mountains are still increasing in height. They measure also, and they claim that we are able to see this series of mountain is rising by this centimeter per year. So that person was asking that our Vedic description is different, that mountains are living and they are not created the way these scientists are claiming. So is there any detail somewhere? I have not read about this. So I could not. How these mountains came into existence?
Comes in different Puranas. These things come in various Puranas. These are very interesting pieces of research which could be done by devotees with a science background. They can sit and research.
When we will go to fifth canto, that cosmology part, there we will also discuss how this Earth is there, like planet Earth, round planet Earth, which is shown globe, what it is made of and what is beneath it inside, because these people, they say inside there is some molten lava flowing, and then in the center some iron and nickel is there. Their theory is like this.
No, but first of all, they are not very clear about whatever they say. No, I think you haven't studied how science works itself. There's something called the philosophy of science and the sociology of science. On what basis they come up with various ideas, that is worth examining. They have not studied, they have not poked into every part of the globe inside. So they don't know. They know to some extent, they know. To some extent, they know, but they're also unable to explain anything which is anomalous. No? Anything which is, there are some scientists who say that there are extraterrestrial creatures living inside the ocean. All kinds of things, they're talking about. But generally, the scientific community does not like to discuss anything which is not controllable by human beings. So that is one big problem. That is in certain parts, in places like in America, but in places like France, they have no problem with this. They say it's good to know. Let's get to know what these UFOs are, what these extraterrestrial entities are. Let's just get to know. They're more open. They say. Whereas in America, they have a rule even for the pilots. When you notice a UFO, you should not report it. But in places, in other countries, in Europe and all, they don't think all these things. They think it. We should know. We should just know whatever is there is there. That's all. Whether we understand or don't understand, we should just report whatever is there is there. Because in America, it's very politically correct. They're very much obsessed with political correctness. If all these questions come up, then what will we teach the school children? And school children need to be told that we are very confidently building up science for the betterment of humanity, and we are saving the world and so many things. If somebody comes up and says, "But what about that thing that flies from under the ocean to here, and then within a split second it just disappears, and there's a record of this," then they'll simply say, "Don't talk all these things in classroom." They'll call that boy to the principal's room because you're disturbing the harmony that we are creating. Where the harmony is, we know everything. Everything is more or less settled already. There are research, of course, is unlimited. We know that, but all the interesting things that we need to do to benefit humanity, basically, is we are in control of things. Whereas in other countries, they don't have all these concepts. There are countries like Poland, for instance. Their Darwinian evolution itself is considered just a theory. In China, you can criticize Darwin. You cannot criticize the government. And they always make fun. They say in America, you cannot criticize Darwin, but you can criticize the government. And ours is the exact opposite. So, it's all a heterogeneous community of scientists. So some people, they investigate all these things with great interest. And some others, they have very fixed ideas.
So, as brahmacharis, we are not supposed to go too much into that.
Why?
I'm just asking. Like, will it not sidetrack me if I have some interest, but if I go on reading for certain things, will it hamper me in some way?
We used to have functioning Bhakti-Vedanta institutes where they would do all this research. Otherwise, right now, what is happening is devotees with scientific interest, they're just researching on their own. And sometimes they publish books or write articles. In general, it'll be nice if this is organized. Of course, those who are independently researching, you cannot control them through managerial organization. But nevertheless, if their research findings, all of this could be gathered together into a forum, it will be very useful. Okay. 29. Tatrapi sparsha vedibhyah pravara rasavedinah tebhyo gandhavidah shreshthas tatah shabdavido varah. Among the living entities who have developed sense perception, those who have developed the sense of taste are better than those who have developed only the sense of touch. Better than them are those who have developed the sense of smell, and better still are those who have developed the sense of hearing. Tatrapi tebhyah api sparsha vedibhyah vrikshadibhyah. Better than those who can perceive touch. That refers to the trees and so on. Rasavedinaha, those who perceive taste are better. Mritikadi Swabhojya Abhojya Jnaninaha Gandu. What is this? Gandu Upapadaya. What does this mean? Gandu Upapadyadaya. What does this mean? This is a let me just quickly check. Some kind of worms, insects. It looks like that, and these are some kind of worms, insects. Gandhavidaha, Bakuladi Pushpa Sukshma Kitaha. So there are creatures. It looks like the insects. It refers to the insects and so on, who have a sense of taste. So they can understand within the earth, within the clay, or within the earth, which foodstuffs are, which items are meant to be eaten, which are not meant to be eaten. So they know that much. Gandhavidaha. And then better than them are the Gandhavidaha, those who perceive smell. Bakuladi Pushpa Sukshma Kitaha, the tiny worms which subsist on flowers of Bakula and so on. So they know smell. Shabda Vidaha, better than them are those who perceive sound. Shabda Shravanena, Palayanavantaha, Kechit Jalakitaha. And then there are certain aquatic worm-like creatures who run away just by hearing sound. Although Westerners accept that Darwin first expounded the doctrine of evolution, the science of anthropology is not new. The development of the evolutionary process was known long before from the Bhagavad, which was written 5,000 years ago. There are records of the statements of Kapila Muni, who was present almost in the beginning of the creation. This knowledge has existed since the Vedic time. And all these sequences are disclosed in Vedic literature. The theory of gradual evolution or anthropology is not new to the Vedas. Only distinction, we believe in inverse evolution, that from higher species, lower species have come. It is said here that amongst the trees, there are also evolutionary processes. The different kinds of trees have touch perception. It is said that better than the trees are the fish, because fish have developed the sense of taste. Better than the fish are the bees, who have developed the sense of smell. Better than them are the serpents, because the serpents have developed the sense of hearing. In the darkness of night, a snake can find its eatables simply by hearing the frog's very pleasant cry. The snake can understand that is a frog, and he captures the frog simply because of its sound vibration. This example is sometimes given for persons who vibrate sound simply for death. One may have a very nice tongue that can vibrate sound like the frogs, but that kind of vibration is simply calling death. The best use of the tongue and of sound vibration is to chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That will protect one from the hands of cruel death. So the Jiva Goswami, in fact, he notes this. Prabhupada is deriving it straight from Krasandar. Matsyadayascha, fish are also, they also understand through taste. Then Brahmaradaya, they understand through sense of smell. The bees, Ebhya Shabdavidaha, Sarpa Adaya, snakes and others. Sridhar Swami himself says, snake, Brahman, bees, fish. Rupa Bheda Vidastatra Tatascho Bhayato Dataha Tesham Bahupata Shreshthas Chatushpadas Tato Vipat. Better than those living entities who can perceive sound are those who can distinguish between one form and another. Better than them are those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth, and better still are those who have many legs. Better than them are the quadrupeds. Quadruped means four-legged, and better still are human beings. Rupa Bheda Vidaha, Kaka Adayaha. Rupa Bheda Vidaha, those who can perceive distinctions of form. that refer to crows and so on. Ubhayataha dantaha sarpa adayaha. Then those who have developed upper and lower sets of teeth refer to snakes and so on. Okay, fine. Bahupadaha. What is Bahupada? Bahupada means with many legs. Like all these centipedes, millipedes and all that. Tesham pushpa काष्ठादिकर्तनलिङ्गेन उभयतो दन्तत्वं ज्ञेयम्. They have many legs, and by their cutting through flowers and wooden pieces and so on, we understand that they have teeth both above and below. Chatuspadaha, four leg, Pashavaha, animals, Vipan, Vipat refers to two leg, Manushya, human beings. एतेषां पूर्वपूर्वतः उत्तरोत्तर येषां सामान्यतया गुणाधिक्यात् आधिक्यम्. In general, the ones which are presented later are superior to the ones which are presented earlier. देव अधिष्ठानादि विशेषण गुणाधिक्य विचारेण श्री गोवर्धन वेंकटाचल आदिषु तुलसी आदिषु च सर्वतः एव परमाधिक्यात् अर्हणीयत्वाधिक्यं शास्त्रज्ञ सिद्धमेव ज्ञेयम्. But by consideration of special features, such as the Supreme Lord being especially present in certain special creatures, special forms in Sri Govardhana, in Sri Venkatachala, and other such holy mountains, as well as in Tulasi and so on. They are superior to all of these, and they are meant to be worshipped even more than human beings and so on. That is proven by the analysis of those who know the scriptures. Jiva Goswami also says, for instance, the Himalayas, Tulasi, the cow is superior. So you have general conceptions, but then you also have exceptions. Question?
Prabhu, shlok number 29 and shlok number 30. They are two separate ways of putting the hierarchy of living entities, or they both are interconnected?
It's continuing. Text 30 continues the hierarchy which was presented before.
So, in purport to verse 29, it is said, Prabhupada is saying that fish are better than trees. But the sequence which we get from Padma Puran, I don't know if it is sequence, but I heard it like that. Jalaja Navalakshani. So first is aquatics, then trees. Aquatics are the lowest. And here it is said, aquatic fish is better than tree. It appears to be little
So
confusing.
note it down from where and do more research. You will find some other statement from some Puranas which will explain how, in what sense that is correct and what sense this is correct.
Okay. Okay, Prabhu.
Okay. It is said that certain birds, such as crows, can distinguish one form from another. Living entities that have many legs, like the wasp, are better than plants and grasses which have no legs. Four-legged animals are better than many-legged living entities, and better than the animals is the human being who has only two legs. All right. Okay, let me read out this verse also. Text 31. Tato varnascha chatvaras tesham brahmana uttama brahmaneshwapi vedagyo hyarthagyo bhihadyadikas tataha. Among human beings, the society which is divided according to quality and work is the best. And in that society, the intelligent men who are designated as Brahmanas are the best, are best. Among the Brahmanas, one who has studied the Vedas is the best. And among the Brahmanas who have studied the Vedas, one who knows the actual purport of the Veda is the best. Tataha Teshu. Okay, fine. Next session we will look at this purport. Must be on Monday. Okay, fine. Okay,